it's important to keep the kids busy, man. That's just my opinion. I think, all the parents out there that are listening, if you think you don't have time, I hope you're listening, because, I run and operate 3 different companies. I'm the president of all 3 of them and the founder of 2 of them, and so if I can find time to attend volleyball games, go to tournaments, take my kids to practice, things of that nature. If you're a parent, you're listening, you go, man, I just don't have the time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just got to figure it out.
Kurz looking clean with his whole sales team. We ain't come to talk nonsense. It's all about the process and profits until we make $1 billion from deposits. He never slacked and teach him to take action. So far from whacking, never gave up his passion. Can't catch him lacking, damper down on his fashion. He forever stacking, running up all the cash in. Real estate mastermind. Check out his book, he gave us the blueprint. Really can't hate the grind. Put in the work, no making excuses. Quitting's a waste of time. You made it this far, don't make your life useless. Pull up and taste the wine. He got the flavor, mixing the juice.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Freedom Achiever Academy. It is my job to continue to bring what I consider to be freedom achievers to the table, people who are doing big things to find their freedom. Now, I know that you guys hear me say this all the time, but I am a true believer that all of us in our lives are chasing the one thing. That's freedom. Whatever it means to you, freedom of time, freedom of finances, financial freedom, whatever it is, and whatever it means to you, location freedom. I'm trying to find all of them, by the way. We're in this to win this, right? My name is David Adam Kurz. I am the founder of the Freedom Organization. We're a coaching and consulting company, and this is episode 245. We're doing this today with Emmett Dempsey. Emmett, thank you for being on the show with me. Emmett is a mortgage broker, mortgage family, wife's in it too. We'll talk a little bit about that. United States Army captain, thank you for your service. Brother, thanks for being on the show with me.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to have really great conversation with you because, the first thing that really jumped on was work-life balance. And I know that's a big question for a lot of people, and they may or may not have the same situation as you. So I want to tap on it because I came from, I met my wife in the industry, right? I was a realtor. She was a realtor. And so work-life balance was just kind of merged together because, we were both in the same thing. Eventually she worked on my team. Then she ran my team. I ran a brokerage. We were doing the same thing all the time. She got into mortgages and then she kind of backed out of mortgages. And believe it or not, she's taking a little break from real estate as a whole. She decided that she just needs a minute. She needs a reset. She does not want to do anything real estate related right now. She'll come back to it, but she's trying to find her place in it, if you will. And it's so odd to me because we've been together almost a decade. And I feel like, oh my God, we're not doing the same stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely blessed to be working together, and it kind of ended up that way. I've been in mortgages since 2007. Started at Countrywide Home Loans back in the day, and then through the ups and downs, I now own my company. Started in 2020 in the middle of COVID, and opened my own brokerage. So basically, my only concern and customer is my client, and my wife Cheryl. Been together, married 12 years, together 13, and she kind of just backed into it. She was like she kind of was always always was around it, just talking because we go home, we talk about loans and deals and problems, and she loved that aspect of it. And when I opened up my company in 2020, mortgage brokers can't charge a processing fee, so they have the third-party processing, or TPP. So ordinarily, you either process your own loans or you send it out to a company, and there's nationwide companies that do that. Your bigger brokerages, but she just started her own, and it just started with one client, and it's ballooned, and she's in like 7 or 8 states now, and she processes for multiple companies like me, and she has way more loans that she's working on every day, and it's created a lot of good mastermind opportunities, and I help my fellow brokers. If she runs into a problem, I'll help find a path and use what resources I can. I hop on calls with the brokers. We're kind of very much a family because brokers are still the underserved. After 2008, we were kind of down to the single digits. Now our market share is growing, so we're definitely in business by ourselves, but not, for ourselves, not by ourselves. So we're definitely help each other out that way. We're proud members of AIM, Independent Association of Independent Mortgage Experts. So we definitely do a lot of AIM events together. In fact, and this allows us for work-life balance. We're able to go on conferences together. In fact, we're going to an EPM conference actually, we're going to DC next to advocate for our industry. So she's very much in government affairs because Cheryl's background is in government. So we definitely, we went last summer to National Mortgage Broker Day to lobby for trigger leads. You know what those are, right?
Yeah.
So basically
break it down anyway, because a lot of our listeners may not.
Well, basically, when your credit is pulled, that information is sold by the credit bureaus and to multiple mortgage companies, that buy this information and call you. And there's some tactics that are less than reputable and say, hey, Emmett's office told me to give you a call, and kind of what they want is for you to get a loan application with them, and then kind of steal you away as a client. So that's the way these credit bureaus make money. Is they sell information, and there's zero that we can do about it. There's certain ways I put in the information, I'll load the loan amount, I'll change the phone number. It doesn't matter. They find ways in the information age to find you. And no lie, I've seen, at least 50 to 100 phone calls, and that's not even exaggerating, in 24, 48-hour period. They just blow you up, text you, and say, hey. So we're trying to get legislation passed to prevent the Fair Credit Reporting Act for newer leads. Of course, if you have an existing relationship, to continue that. But, those are certain trips that we're allowed to take together. So this one we're going by ourselves, because we have 4 kids. So, we have a 21-year-old, 29-year-olds, and a 7-year-old. So, and sometimes they come with us. In fact, we're going to another conference in June, and then we're going to go up there. And then right after that, they're going to space camp. So we're able to plan our trips together in the mortgage industry. So she's, going to be a sponsor for her processing company where she can meet other brokers and expand her business, and for me. So it's definitely a very blessed.
Yeah. So similarly, your work-life balance has just really merged in together. Like it is what it is. You talk mortgages at dinner, and you talk mortgages at Mortgage World,
I mean,
your vacations are conferences,
Yeah. Well, exactly. Well, you understand how it is in real estate and mortgage. There's always a hustle culture, rise and grind, and I work all these hours. Look at me. And the value add for a mortgage lender, I pick up my phone, which I do. I'll text you back, but I'm not always, tied to my phone. And so there'll be times where, for instance, I go get my kids, so I pick up, we don't send them to a bus. They go to a private school. I go get them, at 2:30, and then I'll take them home, and then I have a computer at the house. I can, technology is such where, my clients can get a hold of me, they can email me, text me. So it's just, and there'll be sometimes with text conversations late at night. That's just the way it is now. It's a hybrid connectivity, but I don't have to be chained to a desk or in the office. I can be at home playing with the dogs, getting dinner ready. It's just different worlds, and technology allows you to do that.
Yeah, it's a different world. You've been doing this for quite some time, I'm assuming. How long you've been in the industry?
Since 2007. So
yeah. So you've been in it for a minute. I got into the industry. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2004. I was licensed like months after as a realtor. My cousin, who was doing mortgages at the time, she was like in a beautiful condo. She was driving a BMW, and I was like, coming out of the Marine Corps, I was like, wow, this is nice. She had water views,
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm getting into mortgages just like you. And she said, no, you need to get into real estate. Like for me, she told me, she goes, ever since you were a kid, you could talk to anybody. You need to be out there with the people, mortgage brokers were back here behind the computer, on the phone with the people, and I was like, okay, I can see that. I don't like being stuck in my office all day. I want to be out and about, had enough of being stuck in places in the Marine Corps, so so it's interesting that you bring it up like that. I want to ask you a question, because every time I get a veteran on here, I like to ask this question. How long were you in service?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years active, 4 years as a cadet. So technically, but 4 years active.
All right. And then when you got out of the Army, what was your transition back to civilian world?
I got out in May of 2001, so it was
Okay.
before 9/11. So it was a much different world. We didn't even know it then. So it was a peacetime army. So a transition out. I thought it was relatively routine. Terminal leave. I interview with a lot of junior military officer firms, that military recruiting firms, and you have those interviews leading up to it. But ultimately, I found a job here in Port St. Lucie, with Liberty Medical. Back in the day, they had the old Wilford Brimley commercials. So it's just that everybody in town seemed to work there, and that's kind of, I transitioned pretty regularly to a new position.
So it wasn't that difficult, because I know for me it was tough. I think for me, it was, I did 9 years and coming out and moving to Miami, out of all places, where there's no real military presence,
Right.
and you're so almost a decade accustomed to military life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come out to civilian world into a city that really doesn't have a military presence or a military life. And it was tough for me. Like I did not like people for a long time. I couldn't understand things like why people didn't show up on time. I couldn't understand why you had to pat people on the back for doing what they were supposed to do. It was a difficult ride for me. But I obviously picked up on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe you got in 04, after 9/11. So you had it was a much different military. Like I probably would have had a different experience similar to yours if I had stayed in and got out later.
Yeah. Yep. It was different. I mean, 9/11 was a big thing. I think for me, it was more of just being used to working with people who do what they're supposed to do and don't need praise, picking box up, putting box down,
Yeah. Well, were you in a combat arm?
I was.
Yeah. So I was a quartermaster officer. So you had a lot of civilians. So we've had to deal with that pace. So it wasn't like, I always thought it was far easier to be in a combat unit because everyone was the same and you had a similar mission. Whereas in a supply unit, it's a little bit different. You have multiple types of people. So that's just what my normal was. So I guess that helped ease my transition out.
Yeah, fair enough. We've advocated so much for creating programs to help veterans transition, not only like mentally, but also education wise. Like, I remember when I transitioned, nobody told me what a VA loan was. I didn't even know that I qualified for a VA loan.
Me neither.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see, you either. And it's almost like sometimes I laugh and I say, they just don't want us to know because too many of us might use it, and then they got to guarantee all these loans,
Yeah.
It's interesting to kind of really come from that aspect and have that type of transition where you're learning all these things. Like, not disability, for instance, like I didn't know you could go and ask for things, for disability based on things that happened to you during active service. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
And then when I found out about it, I didn't even know how to do it. I was like, well, this hurts, that hurts. See, here it goes. And I got denied everything, and then when I got denied everything, I was like, I'm not doing this, and you've got that military mentality. I always say that Marine Corps mentality, like, suck it up, buttercup. Like,
That's that is our family motto. Suck it up, buttercup. Are you going to live?
Take two Motrin and shut up.
Yeah, there you go.
And so it was odd, but I'm glad that I was able to learn a lot and then pass the word, like really get it out there. We've been doing a pretty good job at that, so I'm excited about that. And I've got good buddies that do it way more than I do. I mean, creating groups and programs and systems and all kinds of cool stuff. I've got a future podcast coming up with a good buddy of mine out of San Diego, retired senior master chief in the Navy, and super great guy. And he's creating a program that I can't really talk about right now, but when his podcast comes up, you'll hear about it. It's gonna be pretty exciting, and I'll send you that one when we get it. All right, so now let's continue on the balance side. So because we just talked about you and your wife, and you're both in mortgages, so it's kind of like a blended balance. But now you've got kids that are active. You've got a daughter in dance. You've got football going on. You've got kids that are. You wrote. How many kids do you have? 4 or 5?
We have 4.
Oh, okay. Because I think you put 2. You put 4, 21, 9, 9, and 7. I was like, you got twins. No,
We got twins, yeah. We do.
you
We got
coming down.
some boys. Some
That's
boys. Yep.
awesome. That's awesome. All right. So with the boys that are in football,
Mhm.
you're the coach.
I'm the coach. Yeah.
So how do you
So
fit that in, man? How do you fit in? This is a busy life, man.
it's a busy life. I mean, but you guess you stay busy and you figure out a way. So it's I-9. It's a great organization. So it's I-9 flag. So it's a Saturday. It's either Saturday or Sunday. This league has been in this town for almost 20 years. It's one of the oldest leagues in the city for sure, and it's very very well run. And so it's one practice, one game that Saturday. And usually with my teams that they will have one practice during the week, like on a Tuesday or Thursday, just to kind of keep it going. But we just make it manage. And yes, I-9. So a lot of times the parents step up. Like there'll be sometimes where we have to go away, like for a conference or something. And then I say, hey, I play books and wristbands, and I have a system, so for the military. So we don't just wing it. So we have different playbooks, and it's just really enjoy coaching. I think this is the 6th or 7th season the boys have been playing. They'll be at the edge of their range for the 7th and 9 division, and they'll decide whether they want to play tackle, and that opens up a whole other set of questions, because football in Florida is competitive, so it's definitely a really good league. And then they'll decide in the fall if they want to play tackle or not.
Yeah. So you mentioned to me that your wife was a bit nervous with tackle.
She is.
Yeah.
And I think
rightfully so. Would we say?
I don't know if it's the physicality of it. There's a lot of good safety protocols. I think mainly it's the time commitment, because in Florida, there's a lot of different football programs, and they try and they're all. I mean, they all want to focus on winning, but so that means more practice time during the week. I prefer. I probably want to go towards Pop Warner, because I think it's a national brand. So there's a good Pop Warner leagues around here. That's what I've been researching. So it's from here from Fort Pierce down to Palm Beach Gardens. So it's not terrible. It's kind of what I'm looking. There's also local leagues that are at one place. So there's just evaluating that. She's not sold on it yet, but we'll see. I mean, because they'll be 10 in June, and that's about when our oldest son started playing tackle. So we'll see what happens.
Yes. Now, the boys, are they excited about tackle?
They are, and I've been very keen not to push them. As I look, you tell me what you want to do, because I don't want to push either way. Don't do it because you think I want you to do it. Tackles is different. So they've learned I-9. There's different tactics, and because everyone's eligible, and you're not getting hit. I mean, it's physical, but it's still flag. So and there's certain skills that they have, and they haven't worn pads yet. They don't understand what that's like.
They don't know that.
And who knows whether they'll like it. So we'll see. And it's a different work ethic too. So when you play tackle, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we do that with the girls too. I think we're very careful not to push them one direction or another. They play competitive volleyball, but the one rule that we do have is that they have to do something.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't just say, well, I don't really want to do the volleyball anymore. That's not going to fly.
Yeah.
You got to do something. So pick what you want to do.
Good rule.
Yeah.
And our daughter is in competitive dance. She's on a competitive dance team, and she's on travel. So we've been to Orlando area twice. In fact, football starts on the 13th, and then we go to DC, and then we come back. And then right after we get off the airport, she has to take her to another dance competition. So my wife has to go this way. I have football, so the boys. So we kind of tag team and roll out.
Yeah, we got something like that coming up too in Orlando, where my wife and I have to try and figure out our schedules, because they're in different age groups, right? So one's in the 13 group, the other one's in the 16 group, and so they play different weeks. So they're 2 consecutive weeks. One plays one week, the other one plays the other week. It's incredible.
Oh, wow.
How much time goes into this. Like, they couldn't figure this out together. I'm like, come on, guys.
Exactly.
I don't think they're thinking about us parents with 2 age groups,
Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah, because our daughter goes to dance, 4 nights a week. So
Ooh.
yeah. three nights, but one night is like from 3 to 7. So it's like almost like 4 nights a week. So
yeah. We know the kids are in practice till 10 p.m. when they go. And it's a lot of work, but man, let me tell you, they're in shape, they're active, they're healthy, they're taking care of business. I think personally, that's so important, especially now with the ease of being lazy, the cell phones, the TVs, the iPads, the computers, it's very, very, very easy for them to just kind of like hermit, shut down and they're quick to do it, by the way. Like if there's a Saturday where they don't have tournament, they don't have practice, they don't have anything. They don't come out of their bedroom.
That's true.
It's almost like they're afraid if they come out the bedroom, we're going to come up with a plan to go do something, So,
yep.
Yeah. So they're, it's important to keep the kids busy, man. That's just my opinion. I think, all the parents out there that are listening, if you think you don't have time, I hope you're listening because, I run and operate 3 different companies. I'm the president of all 3 of them and the founder of 2 of them, And so I if I can find time to attend volleyball games, go to tournaments, take my kids to practice, things of that nature, if you're a parent, you're listening, you go, man, I just don't have the time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You just got to figure it out. And it's funny because you said something, you kind of threw it out there and I'm not sure everybody heard it. You were like, man, I got systems in place, military, and we just have that kind of mindset, where it's like if you want it to get done, it will get done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what it boils down to. I coach, obviously I've been coaching for a decade now. And one of the focuses that we have is time management. Obviously it's so important. But we break it down, time management versus time valuement, and time valuement, something I learned from a friend of mine. And we really, focus on not only breaking down the things that need to be done, but also like putting enormous amounts of attention on the things that bring extreme value, like being at your kid's football game, or being at a meeting with a particular client, like all of the, it's value in different directions, different ways.
Exactly. Well, I'm in a top flight mortgage coaching company, growth only coaching. In fact, they are guys from Chicago. They just moved to your area actually. So I've been we're coached and to focus our time in different theme days. I'm sure it's similar to what you're coaching. So I coach on the football side, but we're also coached personally in my business. So you do get things done. So you have a focus work time. Like today's Tuesday. We already called all my updates. Call both sides of the transaction. Here's where we're at. Where we're going. And then, I'll got off of here. Pick up the phone. Set some appointments. Teaching a class next week on a listing strategy. How I'm using a video CMA because after the NAR settlement. Listings is a focus, so it's trying to add value to my realtor partners as they transition to this whole NAR stuff that you can't get away from.
Yeah. It's on everybody's, on the tip of everybody's tongue right now, man. Yep. So if you had to really dig in on, let's say, hardworking parents, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give them?
For hardworking parents, basically, that's a broad way. For hardworking parents, definitely, take the time for your kids. Don't just mail it in. Really, take the time. Like I said, keep them active. Really having it. I believe in sports. For me, growing up, because both my parents died before I was 14. So after my dad died, really football was all I had. So that's why it's definitely a special sport to me. I believe it really saved my life and like it kept me focused. And when I could have easily gone off focus after that. There wasn't much discipline after that. So they kept me disciplined, kept me focused, and helped, accomplish what I'm accomplishing today. So definitely keep your kids active, and definitely, if you can't be there, lean on good programs, good coaches, so they'll understand. Just to keep them active with kids their age.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think a lot of the problems that we're seeing today with the youth that we have today is due to why I already mentioned the cell phones, electronics, things like that. We're not keeping them active enough. And because parents need to work way more than they ever needed to, and they need to make more money way more than they ever needed to in the past, like historically, You know, we went from a single income home to like a dual income home to now a dual income home with side businesses. Like it's just it's continuing. And I know so many parents are having a hard time figuring this out. And I love what you said is you know, give your kids the attention they deserve because and you brought up sports. You know, I didn't grow up on sports. I grew up in the Bronx. My mom was very busy. I grew up in a pretty, you know, crappy neighborhood. And so we didn't really have, you know, we had stickball and we had basketball up the block on the corner, but there were usually drug dealers in the basketball court. So my mom wouldn't let me go too much, you know. And so she, you know, she kept a close eye on me, thank God, right? Because, you know, I could be a different adult wearing a different color right now, you know. You know, I'm grateful for the eye that she kept on me, but I do wish I would have been in sports. And it wasn't until I joined the Marine Corps that I realized the importance of, you know, understanding teamwork, because that's what sports gives you: teamwork, physical activity, health, exercise, you know, friendships, you know, social life. Like it gives you all of that, you know, your team, your brothers and sisters, you're creating, you can socialize with people, you can be active, you can play a team sport, you can work together. Like it brings a lot of value, brings so much value to the table that these kids are going to take into their adulthood. You know, whether they become rock star football players in the future or not, they can become attorneys, they can become mortgage brokers like you. They might take over the family business, but they understand the aspect of working together as a team. They understand the importance of being physically fit. All I believe are critically important as an adult. You know, I think we're losing that.
Yeah, so as a parent, you should definitely, you know, keep them focused. There's more programs out there than ever before. You know, I-9 is a great one. You know, so that's 1 day a week. If it's too much time and it's on a Saturday, you know, that's why a lot of parents will really enjoy that. You know, so you know, it's definitely a great organization.
All right, so you wrote something here that we've totally skipped over. Support local agriculture, buying pigs and steers. Talk to me about this, man.
Yeah, well, it's like I tell you what.
I read that and I wasn't thinking Port St. Lucie. You know what I mean?
No, the San Luis County Fair is actually one of the better fairs in town because we have, you know, in San Luis County, we have a lot of like agriculture friends who raise pigs and steers, and just my company buys them. I'd rather pay a up and coming high school FFA folks than pay the IRS, you know, so it's a write off for our business. It's great meat. So we, you know, lately in 2021, I think we bought the Grand Champion steer because my wife bids on it, and you know we actually had our freezer short out and we lost almost all the meat. So
no,
awful. Yeah, so that was not fun. But lately we'll go halves in with one of our friends on buying a pig, and we usually take most of it into ground sausage. It's the best ground sausage ever. So my wife takes that and use that as a base for a lot of stuff, a lot of casseroles that the kids use, you know. So we have she'll do a casserole. We'll pack their lunches with actual food versus other, you know. So there's other stuff that they get at school, but like actually having a base of food and make sure they eat right. So yeah, so you know, pigs and steers, definitely the way to go.
That's awesome. And so these obviously this is better meat than you would buy at the store. You know, you know, you guys are you know, buying it from the source, you know, having it chopped up and prepared.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like you get to see the animal, and you know they parade it around and whatnot, and like it's a little weird the first couple of times that you do it, but like it's definitely a great cut of meat. You know, it's definitely a system, and that's how we get our food. So you don't just show up at the grocery store and it disappears. Like it actually there's a whole middle part that's all part of it, and local businesses help support that.
I think there are a good group of people, you know, let's remove the vegans and all this other stuff, the meat eaters of the world. I would say the majority of meat eaters in the world would rather not know what happens before it gets to the supermarket. You know what I mean? I think the majority of them are like, no, don't tell me anything. I just want to pick up this pack of meat and get out of here.
It was just magic.
It was magic, man. It was magic. This animal did not die.
That's right. No, but they do. I mean, that's what the animals are bred for, you know. So So we help support local agriculture through that. So we'll sponsor, so we'll buy those, also sponsor like local barrel racers. So it's a whole industry, and in certain counties, it's one of the main ones. I know in some of the counties, it's pretty big. So
cool, man. You gotta send me a link on that or something so I can check it out. I wouldn't mind going one time with my wife and kids so they can see.
It's definitely interesting. Well, and like the pig auctions, like the who's who, like all the honchos are there, the congressman's there, anybody running for office is there. Like they know it's like one of the, it's usually the opening weekend of the fair, and it's standing room only. So like everyone's there.
Wow, that's crazy. I would like to see that in person. I've only ever seen that on TV. I've never seen it in person. I do a lot of business in Texas. I own a title company that operates out of Florida in Texas. And so, yes. So I'm just, I'm there a lot. And when you think of that, when I read that, I was like, let me check where he's at, because, it sounds normal when you say the word Texas and pigs and steers. Right.
Yes.
People don't typically associate Florida with pigs and
it's
steers,
oranges, right? No,
it's oranges. Oranges and beaches.
Quite a bit.
No, that's amazing. I honestly, I've been here all this time. I didn't know that. So thank you for that.
Stop by, go to your local fair and, check it out.
Yep. All right, guys, I'm gonna break off. But before I leave, I do want to say that we are going to put all of Emmett's information in the YouTube. So find us on YouTube. And all his info is going to be in there. tcmortgage.com is where you can find his company. And anything you need, obviously, him and his wife will tremendously support you through the mortgage process. Again, thank you for your service. It's been great having this conversation. I think more than anything, it's really, I feel like we had an opportunity to help parents along the line of understanding a little bit of time balance and giving their kids more opportunity. And I hope they understand it. I hope that the people listening, like they get it, for the parents that don't have their kids in anything because they don't feel like they have the time. I hope that you find the time and you put your kid in something, like no option. Put them to be physical, put them to do something that is exercise wise, And, I know I get some kickback sometimes. Why does it have to be physical? Why can't I put them in art or band or music? You can just make that an additional piece. You've got to get your kids out there, getting the blood flowing. And, I just had a heart attack 2 weeks ago. I'm 47 years old, bro. I no rhyme or reason to have a heart attack. I'm in shape. I eat well, so listen, we got to take care of our kids and set the standard from the beginning so that they're not having heart attacks younger than me,
Agreed.
Dude, I appreciate your time with me so much, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, if you logged in and you listened this long, then you enjoyed the show. So, and if you did, I need you to go ahead and do me a favor. Subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it, on Spotify, on Apple, on Google, in YouTube, wherever you're listening to us. Go ahead and register for it. And then I want you to like, comment, and share. That's going to make a big deal to us. And if you need something along the lines of a loan, reach out to Emmett. All his information is going to be there for you guys to tap into him. Obviously, he's a mortgage broker, not a lender. Big difference. He's got more opportunities and more options for you. VA loans, veteran home ownership. He can talk about that all day long. We did touch today on the fact that, most veterans don't even know what a VA loan is or how to use it. If you're a real estate agent out there and you're still spewing nonsense like the VA loan's not a good deal, stop it and get some education from us. Okay. All right, man. Thanks again. I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you in the next show.